England win 1-0 against Australia. Well done to Ollie Watkins for picking up another goal. 19 months without international football. He comes in, and it was a really good poacher's goal. It absolutely was. I'm happy England have won. I'm an England fan. It's great. But how much more of this dross have we got to watch? We all get suckered in during tournaments because under Southgate we have progressed. And for many people, they'll say, you should be happy. Oh. The Australian men's team, they ranked 30th in the world, something along those lines. They're a decent team. But how many of their players do you know? How many of their players are genuinely of, say, Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A quality? And I'm talking the tip-top players that the big clubs would buy, like the vast majority of the England players. I'm not saying all the England players are of the elite level, but many of them are. Struggling to string passes together. No real cohesion in the team. Anyone that sits in a low block, it feels almost impossible for the team to penetrate, pull apart, open up. Breaking the lines of Australia today was a shambles. And I know many people watching may say, Terry, you've got an agenda. It's a friendly. He rotated. He experimented. But we see this with the first team, or the main players that are used. We invariably struggle. And although we may go to the Euros in the summer of 24, we'll probably get out of the group. We may get ourselves to another quarters or another semi. We could even manage to get to a final. But the tinkering we saw today in the friendly isn't isolated to friendlies. The poor decisions he makes in games isn't isolated to nothing matches. We have seen this consistently through Southgate, who I think has really helped the country develop a really good group of players, but we need to move on from this guy. Southgate's got to go. I don't mean it with any disrespect. I'm just speaking about it from the perspective that we could be genuinely wasting another golden age of English talent. We wasted the Paul Scholeses, the Michael Carricks, Wayne Rooney's, John Terry's, Rio's, Campbell's, Gerrard's, Lampard's, Cole's. The list goes on. Beckham's. We wasted that generation. Wayne Rooney, Jesus. Wasted them. We never played. Isn't it amazing? England never played the style of football, for instance, in Rooney's pomp, that Man United played. It was always a shadow of what he was used to. We're doing it again now. Look at how Klopp and Pep and Arteta, Big Ange, they all play football. Look how they all play compared to England. With this, it's almost, I wouldn't do this because it wouldn't work in reality. I almost feel like we'd be better picking the English players who play for the lesser teams, the smaller clubs, who are used to sitting in a little bit, are used to being a bit more pragmatic. You're bringing in players for a handful of weeks at a time, and we're asking them to play a style of football that is alien to them other than when they're with England. It lacks personality. We don't really look as though there's much cohesion. And I just feel like we're going to sleepwalk into another tournament. And some people say, look, you won today, Terry. Why are you not happy? Because I can see the future again. I've watched this movie before. It doesn't matter how many times I watch Rocky 4. It doesn't matter how many times I scream for Rocky to throw the towel in. Tony, what are you doing? Save your boy. Please, Apollo, go down. In fact, I wish that Apollo never even took the fight against Drago. I pray. Every time I watch the film, I hope he don't die. He does. Spoiler alert. Apollo Creed dies in Rocky IV every time you watch it. And when I watch England play, our inability to break lines, the negativity in our play the majority of the time, thus our inability to break down teams that sit in a lower block, we're uninspired. We are wasting a golden generation of supreme English talent. Probably, though, as well, the best technical England team we've seen in my lifetime. Maybe not the better individual players, but there's a technical ability now that's within English players that I don't think existed 20 years ago. And we're wasting it. I've seen this movie before. I know what happens with Gareth Southgate. We get to a certain point and we will collapse. We will fall apart. We as England fans will be let down again. When I watch England, and sometimes I get carried away. Oh, maybe I was wrong about Southgate. I said that during the World Cup. Maybe I was a bit harsh to him in the build-up to this. Did the same thing again. Barring Saka, dropped not just one of England's most informed players during that World Cup in Marcus Rashford, one of the World Cup's most informed players. Didn't play him. Give him 3 minutes. That alone. When he brought on Sancho, Rashford again in the Euros final, why are you giving him 2 minutes and then making him take a penalty? Why didn't you give him both halves of extra time, or at least one half of extra time? They could have actually won you the game. Scared. Then he put them on. Fresh as daisies, flat-footed, both missed penalties. It's on the manager. World Cup 2018. What a tournament it was for large parts. Overplayed Harry Kane. I remember watching him in that second half against Croatia. After us all begging him to be taken off earlier in multiple other games, the man was dead on his feet, and we needed him. On Gareth Southgate. Stylistically, we know it's boring. We all know this. But we're going to foul with this guy. And I think with a better manager tactically, with this group of England players, we could achieve something very special in the summer of 2024. I believe there is, with Harry Kane leading us with these goals, with the quality on the flanks coming from the likes of Jack Grealish and Saka, with the players sitting in behind like Maddison's, Foden's, a midfield that has the likes of Declan Rice leading it, John Stones at the back, Trippier's and Trent Alexander-Arnold's. This England team has talent for days. And in my personal opinion, when it comes to a European point of view, only France, I think you could argue, has a better team and more depth than we do. I think they definitely have a better first team than England. I think we're ahead of everybody. I really do, in terms of talent. But the man weaving this all together is going to leave us coming up short, in my opinion. Listen, people, do me a big favor. As ever, hit the like button. Please subscribe to the Football Terrace. But for me, remains the same opinion I've held for a long time now. Southgate out. The man needs to be sacked.